Okay, so we're looking at MyiMaths, volumes of prisms and cylinders, question 1. So all of these, we've first got to find out the end area, and then having found out the end area, we're going to multiply it by the length of the prism to find the volume of the prism. So looking at the first one here, that's a triangle at the end. A triangle is half base times height. So I'm just going to go over to my notepad and do a little sketch of that. So the end area of the triangle is half times the base times the vertical height. Let's just write that in. End area equals half, or 0.5 times the base, which is 5 centimeters, times the vertical height, which is 7 centimeters, and that comes to 17.5 centimeters squared. So that's the first bit. And then the volume of the prism is just that end area times the length of the prism. So I'm going to write prism volume equals 17.5 centimeters squared. Note how I've lined that up with where I wrote it before, times 8.5 centimeters, which is going to be, I'm just going to get on the Desmos calculator for that, and that comes to 148.75. So it's 148.75 centimeters cubed, which I'm going to fill in on MyiMaths now. And I can see that it's asked for the answers to 1 decimal place, so that's getting rounded to 148.8. Well, below that we have, well, you can call that a diamond if you like. So we've been given the height and the width of this as it stands symmetrically, with 2 diagonals that cross at 90 degrees, but we haven't been given any of the actual side lengths themselves. Now, if you look at it this way, divided up into triangles, as I've done, you could imagine there being similar triangles on the other side of that, and then the whole thing taking up the space of a rectangle. And it would be easy to calculate the rectangle as 8.6 times 3. Well, this diamond shape is just half of that. So the area of the diamond is just a half times the 8.6 times the 3. So I'm going to write end area equals 0.5 times 8.6 times 3. I think I can just, I should put the units there. So 8.6 centimeters times 3 centimeters. I think I can do that in my head. 0.5 times 8.6 is 4.3, and 4.3 times 3 is 12.9. So that's 12.9 centimeters squared. And then the volume of the whole thing is just going to be that 12.9 centimeters squared multiplied by the length of the prism, which was, let's just check on MyiMaths. So the volume is 12.9 times 5.8. Let's just write that down. Volume equals 12.9 centimeters squared times 5.8 centimeters. I'll just get onto Desmos for that. 74.82, and that's in centimeters cubed. And then when we put that into MyiMaths, we're going to have to round that to 74.8. So there it is, 74.8. And the next one's a circular prism, or a cylinder, in other words. So I have a not particularly brilliant representation of this cylinder that I've drawn. The diameter is 3.5 centimeters. So the radius is half of that, 1.75 centimeters. And then the key thing that you need to know is that the area of a circle is pi r squared. That's something to learn in MYP2. Pi times the radius times the radius. So that's pi, which is about 3.14, times the 1.75 times the 1.75 equals 9.6211, and that's in centimeters squared. And then the volume of the whole thing then is just that 9.6211 times the length of the prism, which is 9. So volume equals 9.6211 centimeters squared times 9 centimeters equals 86.6 centimeters cubed to 1 decimal place. So I've just stuck that in the answer box. Now the last question, well, the end shape is a rectangle with a triangle stuck on the end of it. So I'm just going to draw that. So I've done a pretty ropey representation of this, but the end shape is something that consists of a rectangle here and a triangle here. So it's that same shape all the way through. We've got all the information we need to calculate that, because if it's 2.9 at the back, then it's 2.9 at the front as well. So the end area is the rectangle area, which is 2.9 centimeters times 3.2 centimeters, plus the triangle area. Well, if it's 4.8 along the bottom here and 3.2 along the top there, then this bit must be 1.6. It's still got a height of 2.9. So the triangle area is a half base times height, 0.5 times 1.6 times I should say 2.9. So I'm just going to tidy that up a bit. So it's 9.28 centimeters squared plus 2.32 centimeters squared, which will be 11.6 centimeters squared for the end area. And then the volume of the whole thing will just be 4.2 times that. So volume equals 11.6 centimeters squared times, what was it, 4.2 centimeters. Make that look more like a times. Getting a little bit untidy here. 48.72 centimeters cubed, which I'm going to round to 48.7. Fill that in. 48.7 and mark it. 8 out of 8.